Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to my channel. I am very excited for this video because the journey to Allah, the journey to Islam, like one's journey towards Iman is one of my favorite conversations. Like I love talking about this. I love watching revert stories. Like I can binge watch it on YouTube and never get tired of it. Like I just find it so beautiful and inspiring. And I pray that Allah facilitates for me to have this conversation with many Muslims, inshallah. Ameen ya Rab. So that inspired me to share a little bit about my own journey through Islam to Allah, because I think that born Muslims who also find Islam, honestly, everyone, whether you're born Muslim or you're a revert, we all have to find Islam on our own. We all have to choose Islam at some point in our lives, and I just find that journey beautiful. And I feel like it also shows you, no matter how far gone, like how far you think you have gone away from Allah, how far gone you think you have. What am I saying? What am I saying? No matter how far you think you have gone away from your deen, Allah, Islam, like there's always a way back to Allah. And these stories, like hearing other people talk about their journey, I feel like just it can be very inspiring. And that's kind of why I wanted to share mine. Obviously, I'm not a revert, but like I said, it's a very similar journey to a revert. So yeah. I'm going to try to share just to make it more organized, I'm going to share like first 10 years of my life, kind of like my background, and then second 10 years, which is like my teenage years, and then third 10 years, which is my 20s. So without further ado, let's get into this video. I'm so excited. So the first 10 years of my life, this is basically my background. I grew up in a average practicing Muslim household, like 5 daily prayers, Ramadan, like fasting in Ramadan. I went to madrasa like most Muslim kids, learned Quran, and learned about prophets and their stories and stuff like that. Learned like du'as here and there. And I also grew up in a very small village in Gambia, the lower river region of Gambia, and it's called Keneba. So very small, tight-knit community. Literally everybody knows each other. So that part of my childhood is very beautiful. But in terms of my relationship with Allah, at that young age, I think that it mirrors like a lot of us. Like we learn about Allah from a very fear-centered perspective. Like it's like all about fear Allah, like Allah's punishment, and like the punishments of the hereafter and the grave, and like these things. And like, oh, like I remember even like, oh, you can only mess up like 3 times, and like that's it. Like after you mess up 3 times, then like you're done, kind of thing. I don't know where that came from, but that's definitely something I learned at that young age. And also, yeah, there was no talk about like Allah's rahmah and loving Allah, and like, yeah, none of that. It was from a very fear centered perspective. And I loved reciting Quran. I did have a very strong and deep connection to Allah, but it's something I never spoke about. The space to talk about that was never really created, but it's just something that I've always had in me. I've always felt connected to Allah, always felt conscious of Allah. There was no expectation of hijab or anything like that. So yeah, that's kind of my background. Very average. So now for the second 10 years of my life, this is from the ages 11 to 20. At the very beginning, I believe I was 11, I started wearing hijab by myself. No one told me, no one forced me. I chose to do it. My friends around me at the time were also wearing hijab, so it felt very comfortable and something we just all chose to do, and like we enjoyed doing it, and it was nice. And fast forward a few years later, now at this time I am 14, and I moved from that very small village to New York City. And that was a huge, huge shift in my life. Obviously, that's a big culture shock. That's a big difference from coming from a very small village to a very big city like New York City, and lived in the Bronx, went to high school in the Bronx. So yeah, long story short, hijab came off. I think even before like I made it to the U.S. I think when I knew that I was coming, like the year that we were like getting ready to come, somewhere in there, like that's when my hijab came off. I think that around that time I also started to receive a lot of messaging that like you have to be perfect for hijab. You literally have to be perfect for it. Like you cannot wear hijab and mess up. You cannot wear hijab and listen to music. You cannot wear hijab and yeah, like you literally like have to, it's like this very like rigid, you can't, it's like it's almost to the point where like you can't wear hijab and like have a personality. You can't be yourself. Like there's a image, there's a personality, there's a blueprint for what you should be and what you should look like and act like when you wear hijab. And at 14, like it started to feel like, okay, like I started to realize how fallible I am. Like I'm not a perfect person. It started to be clear that I'm not perfect. It started to be clear that I'm not doing 100% in the other aspects. Like I was listening to music and stuff like that. So I started to feel like, okay, maybe I'm not ready for hijab yet. Like I need to take it off and put it back on when I am perfect, when I become perfect. Yeah. So yeah, hijab came off, moved to the U.S., and like madrasa went out the window also because I started to go to madrasa when I moved to the U.S. for like I think the first year, but after that we didn't go anymore. So all the things that like anchored me in Deen like were like going away. So at that point in my life, it was all about fitting in. Like I came to the U.S. 2 weeks later. I started high school in the Bronx, New York, and I just wanted to fit in. I wanted to not be different. I did not want to stand out. So slowly, I started to lose Deen. And something else that I did not mention is that for some reason, Salah was not something I was connected to. Like I did not pray. I don't know. It just felt like I don't even know how to like really describe this or explain it, but I think the best that I can do is it never felt I never felt connected to it. I never felt like I never wanted to. I never felt like, oh, this is something I want to do. So every time I would pray, like when I was younger, it would be like my mom telling me you have to pray or my dad telling me you have to pray. So that prompting, but if no one prompted me, like I did not pray. So I never like cultivated the habit for myself that this is something I'm choosing to do for myself. So if no one was telling me to do it, like I was not doing it. And that continued on to like even when I moved to the US, like I wasn't really consistent. Like if you tell me to do it, I would do it. But if no one's there to tell me to do it, I'm not going to do it. So I was not praying. I was not wearing hijab. I was hanging out with people that obviously, not obviously, but people who weren't Muslim. Like none of my friends at the time in high school were Muslim. And yeah, so there was literally like no deen. So it just became about like, oh, Ramadan. Like that's when I guess for the haram police or whatever, like I guess I'm someone you would have considered at that time a Ramadan Muslim, because at that time, like I would go to the masjid, I'll fast, I'll pray like while I'm fasting and stuff like that. But outside of Ramadan, like I wasn't really like on deen. So it continued like that. I was engaging in things that weren't pleasing to Allah, and it just continued like that throughout my teenage years. Like after high school, started college, and it was just like that. So that was pretty much like the second 10 years of my life in a nutshell. Now, the third 10 years of my life, this is my 20s. This is the time I was still in college, like in my early 20s. And somewhere around, like, I believe 24, or probably, yeah, 24. This is after I left college. Graduated college, and like came back home. So I feel like I was not as distracted as I used to be. I didn't really have a lot of people around me all the time. I had a lot of time to myself, time to think, and that was like, it wasn't too much in the beginning, like around 24, 25, but no, 24, but like 25. This is around the time COVID hit, and I moved upstate New York. So now I'm like literally like away from like everyone I know, like all my friends that I knew and would go out with. So I was literally by myself. And the void, like I just kept, like, you know how like when you can feel a void inside of you and you try to fill it with like so many different things. That was me at the time. I mean, like when I was like in college and stuff like that, it was easy to do that. It was easy to like fill it. It was easy to distract myself. But when I became like more isolated and like by myself, the void became louder and louder and louder, and it just like I just couldn't ignore it anymore. And I remember, I think it's Ramadan 2019 or 2020. I felt like I felt like that's when I started to like come back, because it just felt different, and I started to think about Islam again. I started to like be more conscious of Allah, because in the previous years it's like I would try to forget, because that it made me feel less guilty of the life that I was living. It made me like not thinking about Islam, not thinking about Allah, not making that like, not really like having that in my forefront helped to not feel guilty, because I knew that I I wanted to live better, but I guess I wasn't ready. So basically not remembering helped. So when I started to remember, just like I started to think more about Allah, I started to listen to khutbahs, like every Friday. I started to, I forgot something. Oh my God, I forgot something. I hope this does not like mess up the organization of this video, but I forgot to mention that right before the end of the second 10 years, this is when I was 19, I had my first panic attack. And I had mentioned that I wasn't praying, and I had my first panic attack. And I remember I had like twist, like Senegalese twist or like jumbo twist or something in my hair with extensions, and I was getting ready to like go back to college, because we had a break. And I had my first panic attack, and I remember very clearly, it was just like in my head, I don't know like how to really describe it, but I felt like, oh my God, I need to pray. Like, I need to pray, I need to pray, I need to pray. Like, the panic attack, I literally felt like I was going to die. And I was just like, oh my God, I don't pray. Like, I need to pray. And but I was like, whoa, like, I need to pray. Like, I need to, like, seriously pray. So I literally just got my hair done. And I'm like, oh no, no, no. So I took it out. Like, in my panic attack, like, took my hair out. Like, took my hair out. Completely. And once I was done, I ran to the bathroom, made wudu, and came and prayed. And after that, I was fine. The panic attack went away. And from that point on, I started praying. And I was very, very consistent with Salah. Like, I didn't play with it. So then, fast forward, like 3 years later or something, I had an internship one summer. I believe this was like 2017. And my schedule was like very, very hectic. So it got to the point where like I would like postpone Salah till like the end of the day, and I would just like pray everything at once. And then it got little by little, like I started being like really tired at the end of the night, and I just won't pray, and I just didn't. So I basically went that whole summer like without praying. And then um and then a few months like in that, I started to, yeah, a few months in that, was it? No, I think after the summer I started praying and then went back to normal, like nothing ever happened. But then, like the following summer, actually 2018, I was taking a lot of summer classes, and I had an internship at the UN, and it was just very hectic. And again, like I was saving Salah till like the end of the day, and then when I would come home, like I would be really tired. So very similar to like the summer that I just described, and it was very hard. So eventually, like I just didn't pray. And I remember one time, like I was at my friend's house at the time, and no one was home. I was home by myself, and I had my second panic attack. And when I had my second panic attack, it's like I just knew, like this is happening because I'm not praying right now. So I ran to the bathroom. Thank God I did not have any extensions in my hair at the time. So I just went to the bathroom, made wudu, came, prayed, and and it went away. And from there, I didn't play with that no more, because I was like, this is the second time. I feel like the third time is just gonna be wild, and I don't want to find out. So from there, I didn't play with Salah. Like I was very, very consistent, and alhamdulillah, still is, alhamdulillah. So so yeah, so that's basically what I missed, and I wanted to like touch on because it was very significant, like in my journey. So yeah, back to the third 10 years. The void got louder. I felt the void got louder, so I started to like come back slowly. I remember this Ramadan, I think it was 2019. Like I remember there was this dua that it was by Omar Suleiman, and he did it like in English. It was on Instagram, and I remember just like holding my phone and like listening to the dua and like saying Iman, and I was like understanding everything because he was saying it in English. So that like I felt something in my heart. And then after that, yeah, from there I just started to like learn more. So I was listening to khutbas, like lots of khutbas by Naman Ali Khan. And from there, like I was listening to like tafsir that he was doing. Like I remember the following Ramadan, like I was listening to tafsir. So from there I started doing more. And I remember I kept consistently like praying to Allah to guide me, praying to Allah to help me, to guide me closer to Him. Like that was like something I kept consistently praying for, like every time. And then around that time, like in 2020, it finally hit me, and I'm just like, why am I postponing a life that I want to live? Like for example, like hijab, like I keep telling myself, later, later, later. When is later gonna be? Like I just sincerely like asked myself, when is later gonna be? Like why am I postponing something that I want for myself, the way that I want to truly live? Why am I postponing it? Like seriously. So then yeah, so I was just like, you know what, like I'm just gonna ease into it. And alhamdulillah, around that time I had already stopped like putting extensions in my hair. I was only wearing my natural hair, so I guess I was already like on my way. And I was also already starting to like wear like looser fitting clothes and like not really wearing anything short or stuff like that. So it kind of helped me transition. I didn't realize I was transitioning, but I was. And then yeah, so 2020, I finally decided to put on the hijab. But I was still not perfect. Oh, and what made it easier for me to put on hijab is that I didn't expect to overnight be a different person just because I put hijab on my head. I finally was able to compartmentalize. I finally was able to realize that me putting on hijab does not mean that I am a perfect Muslim. It does not mean that I have to be perfect in every aspect of me and my journey to Allah and everything. So that shift in my head just made it easier, because it felt like, okay, like I have room to grow, I have room to breathe, and I don't have to be perfect. Like that narrative like was gone, and alhamdulillah it was, because it made things so much easier. So I started wearing hijab. I was still listening to music and doing other things, but yeah, so I was just growing in it. And when I first started wearing hijab, like it wasn't like what it is now. Like I even with hijab, like I had to grow into it, like making it more modest and more pleasing to Allah, and that came with time. So I think at this point, I was willing and able to allow myself to grow into the woman that I want to be. And alhamdulillah, like Allah carried me through that journey, and I am just very grateful for where I am now. And that continued into the pandemic and all of that. And in 2021, I finally I got tested with a very difficult test that completely changed the trajectory of my journey and my relationship with Allah. I already made a video talking specifically about that and what that was like, and I'm gonna, it's gonna be right here, and you can. My camera overheated and turned off, but I was saying, yeah, you can watch that video to learn more about what that was like, because it's its own thing. But from that point, that test completely like changed everything. Like I felt like me praying to Allah to guide me closer to Him. Like I did not think it was going to come like that, but it did. But alhamdulillah for it all. It was very, very difficult. Like one of the most difficult things I've ever experienced, but it birthed what I've always wanted in my entire life, and what I will always want, which is having a close relationship with Allah, a consistent one, and living a life pleasing to Him. And all of that came from that test. And just having like true Iman, like in my heart, all of that came from that test. So that test gave me Islam, like I've never experienced or knew before. And yeah, I'm very grateful for it. So that's basically my story in a nutshell. Please leave your reflections down below. I would love to hear some of your like parts of like your story too, like with Allah. Like what was something that really propelled you on like your journey to Allah? What was it like? Like I really really want to hear it. This is my favorite conversation, and I truly pray that Allah facilitates for me to have this conversation with many many Muslims around the world. I truly enjoyed making this video, and I pray that Allah continues to guide us all closer to Him. I pray that no matter where you are in your journey, in your life, may Allah guide you back to Him. And I want you to know that it's never too late. You're never too far gone. As long as you're still breathing, there's always a way back to Him. And it is precisely what your soul is searching for. A connection with your Creator. Islam, like that's what you're looking for, whether you realize it or not. And nothing else in this world would ever fill that void. That part of your heart, like I think the word is lub. I can't remember. But there's like the innermost center, like part of your qalb is only for Allah, and nothing else will fill it. Nothing else is compatible. It's only Allah. So I pray that He guides us all closer to Him, and make the journey easy for us and carry us through it. Like I said, leave your reflections down below, and I'll see you in my next video. Have a great rest of your day, and Ramadan Mubarak once more, because I think today is like day 17. I love you guys. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.